new species was discovered on the internet.
The limit does not exist.
And Raynell got a little overactive there.
And propose.
The dulcet tones of Kieran Shaw.
So that's what's happening in Sweden.
Kind of a talk show.
Right.
Hello, and welcome to the third installment of Mini KOATS, kind of a YouTube show, or kind of mini episodes, as it's been known in the past. I'm Kieran Shaw, joined, as always, by...
Thomas, also referred to as the hot one, Rix.
And...
Raynell, the nice one, Cooper.
I liked how we heard the crickets when you said "and."
You can hear them in the background here at my dormitory. So we are here to break down Barack Obama's speech in the Democratic National Convention earlier this evening being Thursday, September the 6th.
Yep.
So I guess my first question is just, what was your guys' overall impression of the speech?
Raynell, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start. First of all, a disclaimer. I have an internship with the Obama campaign. The views expressed here do not reflect those of the campaign, blah, blah, blah. All right. I personally, the most interesting thing I found about the speech is kind of comparing it to his speeches in 2008, where it was a lot of sort of big picture, America sort of things. Mm-hmm. There was a bit of that in the speech, but it was a lot less. I think it was played down a bit less. I think a lot of it's just because there's, he has 4 years of being actual president, in his belt. But it was a lot more grounded and down to earth than a lot of his speeches before in 2008, which I found really interesting. I also I don't know if you guys caught the video that they played before to introduce him.
I did.
And I think it did a really good job of kind of showing how strong Obama's been on a lot of things. A lot of people have called him weak, and that was one of the bigger criticisms I've seen,
right.
Against him.
Right.
And it did a good job of highlighting how he's been, strong against, in the face of, he made decisions that weren't politically viable. And I think that was a big point that he made a lot during this speech, is how he puts America over politics. And I think that's a big deal.
Definitely. Yeah, I enjoyed that video. Joe Biden's speech preceding it kind of amused me with the whole, he's got a back like a ramrod. But
yeah, I caught the end of the Biden speech, and it was pretty amusing.
Yeah, that's classic Joe, and I think this was classic Obama. I know you're saying that it was a bit more concrete and detail oriented, and less America than his 2008 speeches. But I thought. Especially in terms of oratory style, where he's, serious and he'll throw in a joke, and, he does it all in a very measured, rehearsed kind of way, with just the slightest bit of levity. I thought it was all classic Obama technical skill, but still with the whole,
definitely.
The whole, he's fallen into a pattern of leaving giant gaps, and and sort of, I guess, a darker tone to some of the other speeches he's done, typical of a midterm president. But overall, I thought it did have a lot of the 2008 platitudes. He talked about the two paths that we can choose, and the two visions and the two goals for America, and how they can be reached, but not in an overbearingly specific way. Still, he did address things. He did talk about teachers and renewable energy, and can I say I loved the global warming comment, just because I was disgusted when Mitt Romney tried to poke fun at it, because it's science. You can't do that.
Exactly.
So but I still think it could have been better, but not by much.
Yeah, it could have been better, but I do like how he did sort of strike a good balance. I think he started off mostly with the economy and started, because that's the issue in most people's minds. He did a pretty good solid block of the economy, and then he focused a lot on the auto industry. And this is a line the campaign's using a lot of now that they weren't really focusing on earlier. The whole auto industry.
That was going to be something I was going to ask you guys about later. So I guess we can just go right into it. There was unless you want to finish your point.
Go ahead.
So how did you guys feel about all the references that first Biden made earlier, and then obviously Obama later, like the references to things that he had done that wasn't necessarily relevant anymore, or had it happened a while ago, like the auto industry thing, all the killing Osama bin Laden stuff. There's a lot of that. How did you guys feel about that?
Oh yeah, this is, I think, it's one of those things where this sort of speech, a convention speech, is a lot different than, say, a debate, where the main purpose here is not necessarily to espouse every one of your beliefs in a completely, comparative sort of way. I think a lot of it was to fire up the base, to kind of remind them that he, quote, saved the auto industry and that he, quote, killed Barack Obama. I mean, oh God, oh God.
I have killed myself and rebuilt myself in my own image.
I think it's funny. I agree with you right now. I've seen a few references to national convention things being like glorified pep rallies.
Yeah, but see, I don't. I think it's a little, it's a little much to keep bringing up the whole Osama bin Laden thing and keep bringing up the auto industry thing when it was so long ago. But it's what, it's what the base wants to hear right now. To me, it's something that's good to hear to kind of remind everybody why he should be president, the kind of things he's done. And this is sort of a kind of just a recap of what he's done and what he can do and what he's going to do.
Embellishing your point a little bit, I just want to say I think it makes perfect rational sense to harp on things that he did 3, 2, even 1 year ago, because it shows a capacity. It says this was an issue we had. It was dealt with in this way. It could have been dealt with other ways, but no, he did it this way, and it worked out. It doesn't matter that the particular issue, terrorists at large, enormous business about to collapse, that doesn't matter so much, even if it doesn't matter now. The world we live in is a result of that decision. So it says you should vote for this man because this is how he responds to this kind of thing. There's a historical precedent for him leading in this way. So if I were campaigning for president, I would talk about things I do today. I don't know, I think it makes sense. I don't know that it's necessarily the circle jerk kind of thing that the whole firing up the base comment might lead it to sound like. But
right.
Kieran, did you have any other questions?
Okay, let's see. I think that's a good place to wrap up. If you guys have any closing thoughts, now would be the time to just say them.
Well, I was going to say, does anyone have any extra thoughts about the convention as a whole? Because I thought about suggesting it for this week's episode 36, as a topic of sorts, but it would get too long and uninteresting to people who hadn't seen it. I just want to say I was very amused the other night when they were interviewing will.i.am, and he was talking about STEM fields and education. And he's like, yeah, we need more mathematicians. And I was like, yeah, we're going to inspire the next, Carl Gauss or whoever, because he saw will.i.am talk about it. But
yeah, no, he's really actually really into this sort of robotics and kind of, he's been involved in FIRST Robotics, and he's involved in creating more STEM education, and which is just fantastic. I didn't watch too much else of the convention. I caught a little bit of Clinton's speech. One more just thing before we go about this speech that I really wanted to touch on is his Romney bashing.
Yeah,
was just enough. It was just enough such that it didn't really color his speech. We won't remember the speech for what he said against Romney, but he said just enough to make the point across that he to make that contrast, and I feel like he did that really well in the speech. And I think that the convention, unlike the Republican convention, which was a very sort of anti-Obama party, this convention did a good job on the whole of just kind of showing why they are